It's a culture that invades every aspect of the ordinary Indian's life. Red beacon cars with sirens wail through traffic, or so-called VIPs jump queues at airports, railway stations and demand to be treated especially. The government has said privileges for MPs will continue at airports. In fact, the Civil Aviation Minister Ashok Gajapati Raju told NDTV what is extended to lawmakers at airports are not privileges but courtesies. He also said, of course, people's representatives need to be honoured, but that's a secondary thing.
Let us not get confused between privilege and courtesies. People's representatives also need to be honored.
It is a privilege, not a courtesy. Because, the law says that the alike should be treated alike.
Once I became a Minister of Civil Aviation, people stopped frisking me. So I'm a heavy smoker, so my matchbox came along with me.
We are the taxpayers. Why are they getting the benefit out of it?
Well, to discuss this issue of VIP culture, it is a cause that NDTV, of course, has taken up extremely aggressively to end the VIP culture in the country. Joining me in the studio from the Congress, Sushmita Dev, an MP and spokesperson, also Dilip Cherian. We're also expected to have on the show in the course of the next half hour the BJD MP Jay Panda and Rahul Narvekar from the NCP, as well as an ex-Air India officer who's going to join us and tell us about his experiences as well. But I want to open this up with you, Sushmita Dev. Tell me, you know, there's been an aggressive public campaign in the last few months as well about ending VIP culture. It is, in a sense, it invades public space. It becomes an impediment in the movement of ordinary citizens. As an MP, how do you react to those charges?
I think there are two aspects to VIP movement. One is clearly a security aspect, and the other is what we are debating, that what is the level of comfort that a member of parliament or a public representative is entitled to. The truth is, as a young parliamentarian, when I enter an airport, I feel that people don't like it anymore, that we should get special privileges, we should be quickly jump a queue and go. It gives bad reactions. So I think it is time that we should review it. We should review it, but like I said, subject to the security aspects which many public representatives deserve, because that's a different angle.
So given your particular instance, for example, you're saying that people don't like it when you've at least witnessed that as a reaction. How much of it would you personally be willing to let go of when security is not the concern, but it's about comfort?
I mean, to me, it makes no difference, because I come from a very small constituency where the airport anyway doesn't have that many facilities. But yes, I do travel through Delhi. So I don't think as such it's going to make a big difference to me whether I can sit in the lounge and get a free cup of coffee. Because if I want to avail that facility, I can pay an extra amount and go through, like Indigo, for instance, gives us that opportunity, and it is not a necessity for us. I mean, it really makes no difference. I mean, for the last 6 months or a couple of months, I've been seeing various channels have been debating this, and I think at the end of the day, we are public representatives, and the people who elect us, if they don't approve of it, and if they think it's a burden on the exchequer, or if they think we should move around in the airports or railway stations like anybody else does, I don't think it should be such a big issue.
Okay, all right, let's take that to Jay Panda, who's joining us now as well live from his residence. Jay Panda, Ashok Gajapati Raju, the Civil Aviation Minister, has said these are courtesies, not privileges for VIPs at airports. Of course, narrowing the discussion really to what is inflicted upon the Aam Aadmi at airports specifically. But in general, this idea of, you know, the public anger against VIP culture has taken on some kind of momentum. And are parliamentarians responding to that?
I first expressed my views on this issue many years ago when I wrote an op-ed against VIP privileges to elected representatives. And I must say that I very humbly disagree with Sri Raju. When it comes to VIP privileges at the airport, such as frisking, such as lounge privileges, such as allowing staff privileges, I think the public are right to be irritated by this. This is a mentality, I think, from colonial times, and during a time when I think our leaders could only make their lives easier in living in third world conditions only if they had special privileges. And I think we need to do away with that kind of a mindset. I will only make two caveats to this. Where there is a genuine security concern, then there must be security provided. Otherwise, for example, when I travel around my constituency, I have no security. And I don't think any MP or any elected person who does not have a security threat ought to have security. It's a waste of public expenditure which should go towards policing for our roads, for crimes, and for the
Right.
Aam Aadmi, for the citizen.
Right.
The other thing I would like to say is that for an extremely limited number of people, and in my opinion these are 5 people, the 5 constitutional heads, which is the President, the Prime Minister, the Vice President, the Speaker, and the Chief Justice. I think the heads of the 5 constitutional bodies ought to get certain privileges, but other than that, I don't think anybody ought to.
Okay, so those are your caveats, that it should be a security concern and it should be for the top 5 people who run this country, in a sense, the President, the Prime Minister, the Vice President, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, and the Chief Justice of India. I want to bring in Captain S.S. Panesar as well, who's formerly with Air India, who's joining us now in the studio. Sir, before we bring in, I know Mr. Panda wants to comment again, before we go back to him very quickly and our other guests, this idea of VIP culture, as you've flown so many of them around the country, isn't only about the airport and the airport lounge and the airport queue. It also happens to unfold on an aircraft when you're in command. And it, how does the crew react to something like this?
Let me first clear one thing. There are 2 VIPs as per the Constitution of India, as the gentleman said, is the President of India,
Yeah.
Chief Justice of Supreme Court, and the heads of the foreign missions. They are as per the Constitution.
Okay.
Now, to change a constitution is a very difficult thing. So, they created another category, VVIP. Our honorable earlier Minister Praful Padey, his maid servant was declared as a VVIP. She was escorted and she was upgraded from economy class to business class. Although she was not in a proper dress, but she was declared a VVIP. Government can declare by a circular any person as a VVIP.
Okay.
And why should we have objection? It's the elected people. They can change the rule, they can change the law for themselves.
So, Dilip, very quickly, they can change the rule, they can change the law for themselves, they can
Constitution
create
cannot be
categories, etc. But ultimately, isn't that like not being in touch with the sentiment of the people?
I think that's the nub of the point, that essentially these are about people making demands, and this is about a cozy club ensuring that its privileges are in a sense ring fenced. That's the dangerous impression that they don't seem to realize that they are giving to the public, because it's very clear that Mr. Civil Aviation Minister was claiming that a parliamentary committee has decided to allow these to carry on. Now the point is that that's not an excuse, because it is people who are affected deciding for themselves what the rules of engagement are going to be.
Right.
It's very dangerous, because imagine if it were to happen to something else that they wanted.
No, it could be all right. Fair point. Jay Panda, very quickly, you were making a point. Finish that, and then we'll bring in Rahul Narvekar as well.
Yes, the point I was trying to make is it's not just people who run the country, because you could say that the entire cabinet runs the country and other people too. I wanted to make a very narrow point that the heads of the constitutional wings,
Constitutional heads of the
the head of the judiciary, the head of government, and the head of the state, which is the president. So only 5 people.
Okay.
And only those who have security concerns.
All
Nobody
right.
else.
All right, Rahul Narvekar, I think there's unanimity on the fact that security has to be the deciding factor when it comes to these kinds of privileges. But just to highlight, the privileges aren't only about jumping the queues and facilitating a late check-in or a late boarding at an airport. It's also about the lounge. It's about personal staff of the MPs at both ends, the airport they are boarding from as well as the airport they arrive at. waiving the fees to enter the airport if there's somebody there to receive them, amongst just a few. A lot of this is a huge burden on the taxpayer and the exchequer. I don't want to see somebody like you, frankly, jump a queue ahead of me just because you happen to be somebody high up in a political party. It's a grating sensation. Now, how do you react to this? Sushmita is saying when she travels through airports, she picks up the public anger. Do you also do that? Do you also get a sense of that?
Well, before I answer your question, let me tell you, I am a legislator in the state of Maharashtra, but trust me, I mean, I am not amongst those who jump the queue or like to take access of the reserved lounges at airports, because I don't have enough time to use these lounges when I go there.
Okay,
So,
that's good to hear. We'll
irrespective
sign
of
you
that,
on to the NDTV pledge.
You know, let me tell you the underlying principle of our So, irrespective of what I've said just now, the underlying principle of our democracy is that everyone is equal. The Constitution provides for equality, but unfortunately, today in our country, we've got two classes of citizens. One is the privileged class, which includes the VVIPs, including politicians, bureaucrats, senior judicial officials. You've got some people who are socialites who belong to this section, and the other section is the common citizens. Unfortunately, this divide has to be broken. I mean, time has come when we realize that the elected representatives especially are here to serve the people, and therefore to create this kind of a divide is not just unfair,
Right.
but also unethical, if I would say. Insofar as privileges are concerned, I think this is a very conscientious decision that needs to be taken by every elected representative. See, I won't say that a blanket ban on all the privileges is something that would be beneficial for the society, because you've got foreign dignitaries who come into the country. Out of protocol, protocol demands that you need to give them certain special privileges. At
Okay.
the same time, if there is a member of parliament or a legislator who's traveling on official duty, he may require certain of these facilities. Maybe he requires assistance of a personal assistant inside the airport.
Right.
That's why there is access given to one personal aide inside the airport.
Okay.
Maybe,
So-
maybe there are times when important meetings, due to time constraints,
Fair
ministers
point,
have
Rahul.
important meetings.
All
even
right.
in
So,
lounges of airports.
Rahul Narvekar
So
making the
these are
distinction
certain
between-
things that
Got
need
it.
to be kept in mind.
Right, making the distinction between what is official and unofficial work of an elected
Excuse
representative.
me, I need the assistance of a personal assistant at all times, because there's a lot of work which happens to common people also, who also have to
Right.
earn their living. So I don't think that distinction is right. I accept the security point. I accept the reason that they might also get mobbed at certain points of time.
No,
So
you
I
need
can
to
understand that.
understand.
But
You need
I
to
think that
understand.
allowing
When
them special rights does not
So
work.
making that distinction is a tricky, is a
your
slippery
personal
slope.
work. The kind of work I am talking about, a public representative is required to do the work for 3 lakh people in an assembly constituency and probably 15 lakh
But
people
I think Rahul
in
Narvekar, the
parliamentary
distinction
constituency.
is
sorry.
when
Work
is a
is
public
totally different.
representative
This is
on
public
duty
service.
and when are they
What you
off
are
duty?
doing-
Sushmita, they
what
come
you
in
are
on this.
doing is
All
your
right,
personal-
Mr.
Just a
Narvekar,
second.
just
Your
hold on a
personal
second.
work.
Hold on a second. Come in on this, because you can make the argument that you're always on duty because you're always a representative of
Yes.
the people. So, but that defeats the
So is
purpose.
a journalist,
No,
so is a
so
doctor.
Dilip, let me,
Always
let
on
me
duty.
no, 1 second. Your channel asked me outside parliament, and it is I who said we work 18 hours a day, we have to get up and go. But we have to remember as public representatives that we have to get re-elected every 5 years, right? So it's not a permanent job. Now the question is, if these privileges or courtesies, however you want to term them, if they are causing public inconvenience, if it's costing the exchequer something, and if giving it up helps. I mean, it's all right to say constitution is equal. That's a very theoretical argument. But like I'm saying, times have changed. Okay, times have changed. We cannot treat ourselves. We should not treat ourselves as a privileged class. So I think it's not a bad idea that the government should review that. And what Mr. Jayapanda is saying, I agree with him, that certain amount of respect and courtesy we have to hold out to our constitutional head. Short of that, the government should review it, I feel.